A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to visit with Rand Laycock. Rand was a music educator in Ohio for many years and was the director of youth orchestras at Baldwin Wallace College. Rand is currently the music director of the Parma Symphony, a regional orchestra in Ohio. Rand is a Parkinson's patient at the Cleveland Clinic and has received quite a lot of notoriety because of the success of his treatment of deep brain stimulus, which he'll explain in our conversation. I'm really thrilled to have had this opportunity to talk with Rand, and I know you'll find it to be inspirational as I did. Oh, it's just so nice to have this opportunity to talk with you. Your story is so inspirational to me,
Oh,
and I
thank
know
you.
it's going to be inspirational to others. You've gotten so much notoriety, and I'm so thrilled for that. And I'm just absolutely thrilled that we've been able to arrange our schedules to have a conversation. Well, let me ask, as a as someone who's just beginning this journey, I have gotten so much out of the opportunity to speak with others that have empathy and understanding for the experience.
Right.
And I would love to start out by just talking about your beginning of your journey. What were the first signs that you were feeling? What were the first signs that you sensed that there was something happening, something going on?
Well, in 2014, I retired from my full-time job of teaching music at Valley Forge High School. I had taught there for 36 years, and everything was going along fine. And near the end of the year, the end of the school year, my wife and I always took a walk at 5:30 in the morning because she worked as a classroom aide at the grade school across the street. So we did that before work, and we just, we'd be out there huffing and puffing. And I was getting slower and slower, and my gait was getting slower. And then my thumb started to do this. And those were the first two signs. And those were the only signs that I thought, I got to go find out what's going on because I wasn't sure. So I asked my family doctor to recommend a neurologist to me because I told him about the symptoms, and he said, you should get that checked out. So I went to this lovely lady. She has since retired, but she did some testing and so forth. She says, you've got Parkinsonian tremor, which is basically the hallmark of Parkinson's disease. And I thought, why me? What in the world could I have done to deserve this? So anyway, to kind of fast forward through that, I took care of the Parkinson's with medication. And everything was fine with the medication until about 8 years in. And at that time, I noticed that the symptoms, which the only symptoms I had were the tremor in my right hand and a little bit of what they call dyskinesia. And it would be fine when I take my medication. But as I got into about the 8th year, the medication was starting to wear off sooner. So I was finding myself adding doses. I got another neurologist. We added doses, we added medication. It worked until about a year and a half ago, and my neurologist said, you, I think, are a candidate for the DBS surgery, deep brain stimulation. And he said, I've been working on it as a researcher, and it's just been approved by the FDA. And he said, I think we should try to do this. So a year ago this month, I went through a series of tests, MRIs and physical tests, and then mental tests because they had to make sure I wasn't having dementia, didn't have any brain cancer or anything like that. Now I passed all the tests. So in May, after my last concert with the community orchestra, the next day I went in the hospital and had the first probe put in my brain. 2 weeks later, I had the second probe put in my brain. And a week after that, I had it's like a pacemaker for the brain. It's a battery. And it's all connected with wires, comes down through the back of my neck and into my chest. And it has been a godsend. It has been fantastic. Now, I still have issues and I still take medication, but I'm actually going back to see my neurologist soon to maybe lower the medication dosage, because the medication is what causes the dyskinesia. It's a side effect of the medication. My tremor is pretty much under control. This was my right hand, and it doesn't really show any tremor. But what was happening is, Thomas, I'm in my 47th year of working with this community orchestra, and I would always turn around and tell the audience stories about the pieces we were going to play. And pretty soon my hand is doing this, and I'm getting so concerned about it that I couldn't go on like that. So anyway, I had the surgery, and then about 6 weeks ago, or maybe 2 months ago now, I had what's known as adaptive DBS surgery. Well, not a surgery, it's just a software change in the battery. Didn't require any cutting or anything. And what that does is it basically gears the process to you specifically. So the pathway by which the electrons do their thing is more accustomed to me, as opposed to a general state-of-the-art, just always on, never off. And what that means is it's kind of like driving a car with automatic transmission versus a car with a stick shift. So it adjusts itself automatically to what I need. If the tremor is starting to act up, it automatically adjusts the amount of voltage that goes into the brain to stop the tremor. And this,
amazing.
yeah, this was developed partially by Cleveland Clinic. And the guy who is my neurologist was one of the researchers on the program. So I was very fortunate. And that's what the storyline was picked up on in the news media. So that's,
Well, I'm interested. You mentioned that your first the first sign that was something was not on the podium.
right.
What were there early signs of how it was impacting you when you were conducting? Were there did you ever experience issues with your conducting?
No, I didn't. My conducting was very smooth and all the time. And it was explained to me that the tremor is a tremor of rest as opposed to a tremor of movement. And that's the difference between Parkinsonian tremor and, say, essential tremor. I don't have a tremor when I'm moving. And so when I would move my arms, no one would know that was anything wrong. But the minute I'd stop, my hand would start shaking.
Wow. So you didn't feel any bradykinesis or proprioception issues? Because for example, for me, we're like yin and yang. I don't have a tremor.
Oh, wow.
I don't have a tremor. I just have really strong issues with proprioception and bradykinesis. I can't, and your right side, it's affecting your right side primarily?
Yes.
I am as well. We're unique, I guess, as it's turning out. But for example, my first inclination there was something wrong was conducting.
Okay.
And I'm learning to overcome those issues because I'm first of all very right hand dominant as it is as a human being, but as a conductor, so much with the baton and so much the kinesthetic feeling with rhythm and time was always manifested so much on my right hand that actually people noticed before I did issues of keeping tempos, not being able to keep tempos,
Okay.
or making mistakes and mixed meter issues and things like that, which I was completely unaware of. So that's what's interesting is in my regular life, I had no issues. And frankly, I think that if it had hit my left side, I might just now be, or maybe a year ago, realizing that there was something wrong. But because I've been so sensitive to what my right hand can and cannot do, that for me, I realized pretty early on that there was something funky going on.
That's amazing. I have found out through most of the people I've talked to, because now I've talked to maybe 10 or 12 people that we know, including my brother-in-law, who has Parkinson's. Everybody's symptoms are a little different. And there are two ways to go about the DBS. And one is the creating the pathway for the tremor, and one is the pathway to create for the bradykinesia and other things. I think there's a different pathway that goes. But what they do is when they put these in, you're obviously knocked out, but they wake you up in the middle of the surgery and have you do this, do things with your fingers, so they're making sure that the probe is in the exact right spot. And at one point in the middle of this, they woke me up and my face started doing this. And I said, "I think you went too far, guys." So it came, but they fixed it. And then they knock you back out and then you wake up in the recovery room. But it was only in the hospital 2 nights. And I was back home then and pretty much able to do anything I wanted to do. There was very little recovery time. So I finished the surgeries by the end of May of 2024, last year. And by the middle of June, I was back up. We have a summer home in Lake Chautauqua, New York.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I was back up there fishing and doing everything I normally do. But I
Wow.
wanted to make sure I got it done in between concert seasons. So,
Wow. So you've never had issues with affecting your speech or anything like it's just 100% been tremor, but severe tremor.
yes, yes. And when they shut it off, I don't know if you probably saw in the video, if you saw the video,
Yes.
they shut it off and it's just, I'm like this. I'm holding my hand to keep it from shaking off my wrist.
Amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Now, when you started out and you first got the diagnosis, and what was your regimen for you took carbidopa levodopa, I'm imagining.
Right?
Well, and what was do you remember how you started, what your first regimen was? It was maybe so long ago you don't remember.
No, I started off at 6 a.m. with a dose, and then 10 a.m., and then 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. Yeah. And then I also took Rapinirole, which is another name for Requip. It's a long-lasting medication that takes you through the night. Because normally you don't need a whole lot during the night because you're unconscious.
Right.
It would bridge the gap from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. without any trouble at all.
Interesting. When I first started taking I had very strong side effects, made me very lightheaded and quite nauseous.
Oh, dear.
And of course I started very, very loosely, like, take it when you wake up, take it sometime in the middle of the day, and then take it when you go to bed. And the first one in the morning was really hard. And it took us a year to figure out exactly what to do. Right now, I actually take the one regular dose pill and an extended release version, which is
Okay.
interesting. I take them together and I do that 10, 2, 6, and when I go to bed.
Okay. Well, let's see. I went to the extended release all the way through then I went to 6, 9, 12, 3, and 6.
Yeah.
And that's what
It turns out, that some of the, I don't have the cardinal symptom of Parkinson's, the tremor. What's really interesting, I do have, what I guess is, my doctor told me is quite common. I get a lot of leg shakes at night and I get cramps. I get the worst foot cramps I have ever had in my life.
Yes. I get restless leg syndrome once in a while. And I
Yeah.
have to get up and walk around or do something, and if I've forgotten my Rapinol, that's a big deal.
So even though you have the deep brain stimulation, you're still on medication as well?
Yes, and they tell you that up front. You'll still be on medication. The idea is that it's a work in progress, first of all.
And
And
always changing, I imagine.
exactly. So you work, I go back maybe once a month or once every 6 weeks, and I talk to my neurologist, and I have a PA now that is very good at the computer, and she plugs in the numbers and the figures that I keep data on all of my dyskinesias and everything else that I have so that they know what's going on. As a matter of fact, I just messaged them yesterday to tell them that I think, my opinion, that I need to lower the dosage or lower the number of doses because the dyskinesia is now the most prominent feature that I have that bothers me. It's not the tremor. It's not anything else. And I will go outside and walk, and my right leg starts kicking out to the right. It just starts kicking out to the right. So there is a way that you can pause the adaptive DBS and put it on a default position. So they give you, when you get this done, they give you a little phone and a white thing that's called a communicator. And the communicator communicates with the battery. You plug into the phone the settings that you need to have. And the default position is the one that they gave me to eliminate or to alleviate the problem with the dyskinesia. Well, I'm doing that every day now. So I've told them that, and I said, I think we got to do something with the medication dose or dosages. So we'll see where that goes. That's my latest work in progress.
Got it. Are there things in daily life that are still struggles? Like, for example, I can't shave with one hand.
Okay.
Like I have to use both hands. What I've discovered with me, which is really strange, is my right hand is especially the fingers, quite debilitated. But if I just touch the hand with my left hand, if I just touch it and somehow connect, I don't know what it does, but it somehow my hand works so much better and more connected just by touching it.
Wow.
So I shave now, holding my right hand with my left hand, and that's how I do it. Brushing my teeth, doing that motion of brushing your teeth is impossible. So I've gone to an electric toothbrush.
Yeah.
Are there things like that have impacted just those little things in life which you don't think about unless you can't do them?
You're exactly right. And I have done the same thing. I've gone to the electric toothbrush. I use an electric razor to shave, and this side takes me forever to shave. When I switch to my left hand, I'm done in like 30 seconds.
It's fascinating how I was speaking with a James Morgan 2 days ago, another conductor with Parkinson's, and I watched the video afterwards, and I remarked to my wife that all of my gesturing when I'm talking now is with this hand. And I didn't realize it until I watched the video.
Yep.
Yeah, but I am really strongly right-handed, but more and more work on the computer things I'm doing it with my left hand, and that resonates with me. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed, right-handed.
Yeah, see, so that really resonates with me because yeah, I can do so many things now with my left hand. That's my preferred hand to do things with. Another funny story is I was conducting at a conference this past winter with our Wind Symphony from Vanderbilt, and after the concert, I was having dinner with some conductors, and one conductor comments to me, he said, "You must be left-handed. Are you left-handed?" And I said, "What?" He said, "Well, you're so expressive. You do so much with your left hand." And I thought, well, there's a reason for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have found that I'm doing much more with my left hand because I was very profoundly right-handed as well. But I'm a string bass player. So I'm used to using my left hand, and which I haven't been able to do for about 2 months because I've had carpal tunnel surgery on both wrists. As if I needed something else to do. So anyway, I'm going up to a music camp in Maine this summer. I'm going to play the Trout Quintet with a quartet of people that are up there. So I'm looking forward to that.
So it hasn't impacted your playing. That's amazing. That's wonderful.
Well, what it does do though is with my right hand bowing, I start to get a little right hand tremolo because
Uh,
my hand will start to do this.
right,
So it's just a matter of muscle building up again because I've been so long without it.
right. Well, that's so wonderful that you're not dealing with any kind of time with tempo or rhythmic issues with your bow hand.
No, it's been fine.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
So what's the future look like for you?
Well, there is a new medication that's coming out the end of this year sometime. My neurologist told me about, and right now it's $500 a month, which I said, when's the generic coming out? And he said, it'll be out before the end of the year. It is a timed released, like carbidopa levodopa, but you don't have to worry about taking it more than once a day because it reacts to what you need at different times. And it kind of acts like the ADBS system.
Wow.
And I don't remember the name of it because it was about a 16-letter name and it's escaped me.
Wow.
So that's something that I can let you know if I find out about that, in the near future, I'll let you know about it.
Wow. Hey, I didn't ask you, has exercise been part of your regimen at all?
Oh, absolutely. I still continue to walk. And until I had the carpal tunnel surgery, I went to the gym 4 times a week to lift weights and do the elliptical and things like that. And that is very important. Everything that I have read and everything that the doctors have told me, keep exercising.
Yeah, when I first got my diagnosis, my doctor said, and all of our doctors tell us this, really the most important thing you can do to slow the process is exercise. I had for over a decade had exercise part of my weekly routine, but exercise has always been something that sort of fit around my busy life.
Of
And I have
course,
to admit, I'm still in the process of making the exercise the priority, but I can tell the first of all, I'm in rock steady boxing, which is absolutely fantastic. And not only because of the physical aspect, but the communal aspect of being with others has really
right.
been powerful for me. But as I'm in the gym at least 4 times a week, and it's funny you said elliptical because that's my aerobic of choice for sure.
Mine too.
Yeah, and I do, my regimen usually is 30 minutes on the elliptical and then just some basic weight training and then boxing at least once a week. Some semesters it's not easy to do. But if I can try to get twice a week, it makes a huge difference. And for me, um, if I can do that regimen and if I do 3 days in a row of exercise, day number 4, I feel like a new human being. And that will last for 2 days. But if I miss the gym for more than 3 days, I am back to feeling like I am, 75 or 80 years old. And
Yes.
yeah, and with all due respect to my friends who are 75 or 80, I
You
just
want to
turned
go there.
60.
Yeah, you don't want to go there before you have to.
I don't want to go there before I have to, but there are some mornings that it's interesting to me how inconsistent this whole experience is. How some days are so much better than other days. Do you experience that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yes, yes.
Like, what is that about?
I, I, I don't know whether it's because I get better sleep. I don't know. There are nights that I can't sleep at all, and the next day I'm like, you might as well throw me in the garbage can. But if I get a good night's sleep, I feel like $1,000,000 the next morning.
How about stress? Does that impact you at all?
Oh, absolutely. If I have a concert that I'm not real comfortable with, that I don't feel like they're ready, my hands start shaking and I get very stressed out. And there are certain things, like if I don't feel like I'm ready for a rehearsal, or if I've got to do something with we have our granddaughter coming up this weekend, our 4-year-old granddaughter. That's a little bit stressful. So stress is a very important player in this whole process.
What are some strategies that you use to manage your stress?
I do breathing, deep breathing. I breathe in for a count of 5 and I exhale for a count of 10. Breathe in for a count of 5, exhale for a count of 10. It lowers your blood pressure. It makes you feel more relaxed, but you breathe out more than you get out all the air out of your lungs and then breathe in. It helps me when I go to the doctor because I have white coat syndrome and my blood pressure is always through the roof. So I do that before I go in, and it helps immensely.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting. Anxiety can be like negative anxiety or positive anxiety. Like there's
Right.
an anxiety that we feel as performers that we use to charge ourselves up and be
Exactly.
ready. But for me, my symptoms don't discriminate between positive anxiety and negative anxiety. So it all ends up feeling like an obstacle.
Right. And that's true. Your mind isn't going to differentiate between them at this point. It's just not going to happen. So you have to try to come up with ways to eliminate the symptoms. And you're not going to eliminate the stress entirely, but you're going to make it better for yourself.
Let me ask you, and I'm really fascinated by this, and I think for those who are interested in sharing in this conversation at some point via social media, if you had the opportunity to speak with somebody who had just discovered or just heard the news that they're starting this journey with Parkinson's, what words of wisdom or what might you say to them?
I would tell them it's not a death sentence. Number one. Number two, it's a chronic disease that you live with, just like arthritis or something else in your life that could be a chronic disease. It's not a death sentence. That's the most important thing because you have to keep a positive outlook. And I have found that to be very helpful. That was my first neurologist told me that the day that she diagnosed me. She said, first of all, it's not a death sentence. And she said, you are going to find in the first 10 years of your journey that they will come up with new treatments and new medications and new procedures that we don't even know about yet. Hence the DBS surgery.
You're living proof of that.
Exactly. And so the biggest thing is to keep a positive outlook. It's not the end of the world. It's just something that we have to live with until they come up with a cure.
That's a great perspective. And boy, that really resonates with me. It really does.
Good.
Well, listen, thank you so much for this chat. I hope we can stay connected.
It is my pleasure. It is wonderful talking to you. And this may sound stupid, but it's so wonderful to meet somebody else that has the same problem.
And that's really made it, how do I say this? On World Parkinson's Day a year ago, I made public that I have Parkinson's. I waited quite a while, but I knew that it was becoming obvious because of the mistakes I was making, particularly the tempo issues.
Yeah.
So it was a year ago on World Parkinson's Day that I made it public, and then this year I wrote an essay about my experience, and the feedback that I received, of course, by friends and colleagues was really heartwarming. It was really wonderful. But what really made the biggest impact on me were other conductors that reached out to me and other musicians that reached out to me.
Right.
And so that's why I decided to start this social media presence called Conducting Parkinson's. And through that, I am going to not only share my journey in hopes that people won't feel that they're alone. I think for me, my initial feeling was I felt so alone.
Yes,
I needed to have somebody who would say, yeah, like what we've
exactly.
experienced.
Like, yeah,
And so through this social media presence, I'm hoping to be able to connect with others like you so that we all feel like we're in it together. As a fellow teacher, I think you can appreciate this. Um, for me, a big part of everything I do is not just the aesthetic experience I get, but it's the impact that I've been able to make or help others. And for me, I'm hoping that to be able to, by being open and sharing my story and sharing, opportunities to talk with others like this, that it will help other people. So that's what the goal is.
I agree with you 1,000%. That is my goal as well.
Fantastic. Well, we will stay in touch, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well. You are a wonderful person.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.